Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of You Ought to Know Live, seen and heard live every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. on the Google Hangout Network, and of course, part of Hangout10.com. Hey, it is great to be with you guys today. We have our regulars with us today. We have Todd and Jose from Dynamic Automotive and Mike Lambert from the Shine Shop. My name is Dave Serio, and I'm host of a radio program called You Ought to Know, every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. until noon in the Baltimore and also Frederick, Maryland area. So to give you an idea, 7 to 8, we do a station in Baltimore called AM 1370, and that station also simulcast on an FM station in Harford County, 99.9 FM, and then that's from 7 to 8. And then from 8 to 10, we're on the 50,000-watt killer station, AM 680 WCBM, which reaches a large part of Maryland, plus also some of Delaware and some of Pennsylvania. And that is from 8 until 10 on AM 680 WCBM. And then 11 to 12, we're on Free Talk 930 WFMD in the Frederick, Maryland area. All of these shows are seen and heard live on the web at DaveSerio.com. Live video and audio streaming. And on the DaveSerio.com homepage, we give you other ways that you can watch and listen to the show, including our free You Ought to Know app. All right, we've got that all underway. Let's go to Jose and Todd from Dynamic Automotive, where, by the way, if you drop my name, we don't always say be a name dropper, but this time it pays. If you drop my name at any one of the 3 Dynamic Automotive locations, and even when you're paying for your service, they'll give you 10% off. Good deal.
Absolutely. That's a great deal. You'll get 10% off on parts and labor.
Thank you very much. That's a great thing. So all you got to do is mention my name, Dave Serio, or the radio program You Ought to Know. And Jose and Todd and everybody else at the other 2 locations will be more than happy to give you 10% off. Tell us about your businesses, Guy. I know, Jose, you're one of the partners of the Dynamic Automotive and one of the brains behind all the good stuff that happens there. Todd the Brawn, of course, nothing wrong with that. So tell us about what's going on in the 3 locations.
Well, we're all very busy now doing a lot of work getting people ready for vacation, getting their vehicles ready for the road. We do have 3 locations in Frederick County. We're located at the Libertytown location. Our phone number here is 301-694-6250. And our New Market location, that phone number is 301-694-5460. And you'll talk to Lee or Sarah at that location. And they do all the same type of work we do, which is foreign and domestic. We do cars and trucks, diesels, and all types of diagnostics, emissions repairs, you name it, we can do it. We have a 3rd location right in Urbana, right off of 270. That location, that phone number is 301-874-8833, and they have a quick lube facility, so we can get you in and out. We can knock out oil changes, BG services, tire rotations, and then we have a full-service shop in the back, 9 bays, where we can effect any minor or major repairs on your automobile. And we also have a 60-foot soft cloth car wash at that location. That is Michael Lambert's absolute favorite car wash. So Dynamic Automotive, where customers become friends.
That's right. Very good. Well, I got a question for you that we've never talked about on the show. Urbana. Is that an area that has been there for a long time? Because when I go to your shop there, I see everything around it looks fairly new. It looks like a Columbia type of uprising as far as the buildings and everything. Columbia, Maryland, I'm talking about, not Columbia in South America. But it looks like a fairly new uprising. Is that true?
You are correct. It was farmlands. And about 10 years ago, it started developing. The Natelli Group started developing the area and built these beautiful communities, and bought up a lot of land, and actually put a huge shopping center with a giant food store and a an array of restaurants and other services there. We've got the McDonald's, you name it. We've got fast food, all types of restaurants in there. When I first got into that area and started up with the shop, there was only a Waffle House at that time and a 7-Eleven, and now you just have a choice of over a dozen restaurants you can go to. Mm-hmm. It's an absolute beautiful area. It was designed very well, and we enjoy being there.
Right. Now, the property you have, I assume that's going up in value because of all the stuff that's come around you.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, across the street from the property, they're developing Village Commercial. They've knocked down an old dealership by the name of Knott and Geisberg, where they used to sell GMCs and they used to service Buicks and tractors. This was a farm community.
Sure.
So it was there for, oh my goodness, I would say good 30, 40 years. Mm-hmm. And just today, they knocked down the last building, and they're scrubbing the land, and they're going to be building up beautiful townhomes and a small strip center, shopping center there.
It's almost sad in one respect, because we do lose so much of our history. My building is in Bel Air, and my building is over 70 years old, probably about 75 years of age. And I'm one of the last of the older buildings in Bel Air. They really had very little interest in preserving their history. Almost all the buildings at my age, meaning the building, not me, but are gone. And actually, yeah, me too, now that you think about it. But it really is a shame to a certain extent. We pulled out of the 1953 Chamber of Commerce book in Bel Air. I pulled out the information out of there, and the reason why I did that is because I wanted to try to find a picture of our building in that era. And I did. And then on the opposite page of our advertisement, meaning the business that was in my building in 1953, was this advertisement for a large hotel. And in 1953, they called it an historic landmark. And it's it's a shopping center now. They didn't save it. So even though it was an historic landmark according to them in 1953, it's gone. Nothing.
Yeah.
So it's good to see a little bit saved. Sometimes they go overboard in that, as we like to call it, the hysterical society. But generally speaking, it's also good to save some stuff too. But I did notice Urbana was really a fresh-looking area, and that's all. You were the first auto repair shop in that area that would be considered a independent shop.
Yes, correct. And I think we're going to be the only one in that area that works on automobiles. Now, there is speculation that they'll have a couple of these automated car washes coming up soon. They've got a couple of C-stores that will have a couple of automated car washes in there. But in regards to automotive repair, we're about it in Urbana.
Great. One other thing. Talking about the car wash, are the lights in yet?
Actually, the archway with the array of lights will be hitting our location tomorrow.
Okay.
So, and then it's going to be installed. We've already got the hardware, the pumps and the sprayers in, but the actual arch will be in there, and it's going to be a nice light show. Yeah. Well,
you may explain to the folks what's going to be happening in the car wash, because I'm sure a lot of people are not following the conversation now. It's a car wash, it's entertainment, it's a ride for the kids.
It is, and this is sort of like entering into a roller coaster of a ride with this arch at the very beginning. Lights light up, telling you what kind of car wash you're going to be getting. A foamer goes into action, and it's like colorful lava soap flowing down upon your car and getting it all sudsed up, red, white, and blue colors. It's going to be very nice. Yeah.
So for those of you that just can't afford Disney World this year, make your way to Urbana.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey kids, we're going on a trip.
Once Mike looks at this and sees it, he's going to want one of his own.
Well, he probably is already.
Might even run my car through there.
There you go. There you go. That would be the wife's Volkswagen, right, Mike?
That's right.
Mr. Todd, you've been doing all the work this week. We know that for a fact. What you been working on, mister?
Oh, we've been doing a little bit of everything. Got a diesel Ford to put a couple injectors in tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
Have a classic out here. It's a Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme with the 3.4-liter dual overhead cam V6.
Okay.
Timing belt is shredded up in it, so I'm going to be putting a timing belt in that and hoping like heck we didn't bend any valves when the timing belt went bad. So
Timing belt. I don't remember a timing belt being in that engine. What year?
1996, 5.
5. And it was a 3.4 with a timing belt?
Dual overhead cam. Dual overhead cam 3.4. Yeah.
I don't remember that engine. Okay, I just remember the 3.4 that always has the intake leaking. But this isn't a quad 4, is it?
No, it's a V6.
Okay, that's a rare engine.
Yes, it is.
I was gonna say you don't see that one every day.
As a matter of fact, we had to replace this engine, and there was only one left in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But Jasper does not remanufacture them, unfortunately.
Right.
And we had to grab this one off the shelf from GM.
Oh,
and it must have been sitting on the shelf forever, because there's no other explanation why this belt went out in only 70 to 75,000 miles.
Yeah, I would agree. It probably had a little bit of a dry rot situation to it before you even installed it.
Right. Right.
I mean, who would think? I mean, who would think to check a timing belt on a new engine?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is an interesting configuration. It has a timing chain that drives the timing belt, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got an internal jack shaft.
I think the word "interesting" was the right word to use. that would you would use at the engineering convention. That's an interesting design. Yeah. Okay, then you get out of the room and you say, who the heck designed that?
Yeah, you see some choice words.
Well, I'm glad you're keeping that guy alive for that gentleman. So that's pretty neat. But I'm not familiar with that engine. I have to really do some research on that. I don't know if I've ever seen one. That is uncommon, to say the least.
It is. It's
very good, guys. Well, hold on. We'll be back with you in just a little bit, talk a little bit more about Dynamic Automotive. But right now, we've got to get to the man with the plan, the extreme detailer himself, Michael Lambert from the Shine Shop. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Dave. Good evening.
Good. This Saturday, we are going to be together. I know that's scary. No holding hands, of course. But we are going to be at the Hunt Valley Horsepower event, and that is held at the Hunt Valley Town Center. I'm going to be there, and you're going to be there early too. But we'll be there on the air from 7 until 12. I will be taking the 10 to 11 hour off, but we're trying to work it out right now, and it looks pretty positive for WFMD 11 to 12 to be on the air there with their remote. But that's an open show for anyone who wants to bring their car and show it. No trophies, no awards, no contest. Just a situation of get together, drink some coffee, iced tea, maybe grab some snacks. We've got a lot of places, and even Joe's Crab Shack, where we're going to be doing the show from, is going to be opening early for us.
Well, good. Yeah, it should be real interesting. I'm told, or I heard a rumor that McLaren from Philadelphia is going to be bringing down some new models.
Wow.
And so that should be interesting. And I think the main deal is that Car Checks is having their grand opening that Saturday, and Mothers Against Drunk Driving will be there, and one or two of the Ravens will be there. So it'll be interesting. Yeah,
I was told it was Justin Tucker. They may have another Raven coming also, but I believe Justin Tucker is scheduled to be there. Mad Mothers Against Drunk Driving. This is what it's going to represent. And it's all free, by the way. There's no charge to bring your car. It doesn't have to be a show car. It can be an everyday driver that you admire or that you are enthusiastic about. But it's a lot of fun. And I believe if Will is giving the right information and the weather forecast is good, we may see as many as 800 to 1,000 cars.
Wow. And it'll be cars a lot of people have never seen before, which is the cool thing about it. It seems that these events bring a lot of people out with their toys. So
well, you know what? I'll tell you why I think it is, and I feel the same way. In many cases, people that have been involved in car shows like I have for over 30-some years, we get tired of 8 hours or 7 hours sitting at a show, and especially in hot summer, you know. And this is an event that lasts 2 to 3 hours, and there's no award.
Just come hang out.
What's that?
You just come hang out, and you don't have to worry about trophies or being judged or anything like that. You're not looking at 30 or 40 Mustangs in a row, or Challengers in a row, or Camaros in a row. You know, there's all kinds of different vehicles to look at.
Yeah, so it really is becoming the most popular part of the car show industry right now. It's just to do these casual get-togethers for a couple hours. Everybody socializes and then goes home or does another show.
Yeah. A lot of people leave in the morning and they'll go to a nearby show, or they'll go to Pennsylvania for a show, because it seems that there's a lot of shows in Pennsylvania every weekend.
Right. Very good. Well, I'm looking forward to being there. We're going to have you call in like we always do, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 11 o'clock, every 2 hours until I tell you to stop. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to do lunch over at Joe's Crab Shack afterwards.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I'm your roving reporter, because I can't stand next to you while I talk on the phone.
That's true. Very good. You'll be my roving reporter. So, Mike, tell the folks a little bit about the Shine Shop. I call you an extreme detailer because you do just one car a day. I said do. You do one car a day, and sometimes that car will even get into the next day, depending on its condition. But you work on exotics, you work on classics, and you work on everyday drivers.
Yeah, I work. I lost a little last half of you there, Dave, but I work on a little bit of everything. We kind of gear ourselves to people that are really enthusiastic about the way their car looks, both inside and out. And we use top-of-the-line products and tools and techniques, and so I tend to get more of the luxury and exotic crowd because of that. But I still do quite a few daily drivers that people just realize how much of an investment it is, so they want to take good care of it.
You know, when you think about it, I mean, people paying easy $30, $40, $50, and $60,000 for cars.
Yes.
And your service for $425 with sorts paint treatment, is a value, because I don't know if people really understand how well it protects your car. I'll give you an example. Just this weekend, Saturday, I went to a crab feast with my Viper Club, and I took my new Viper there. And, you know, I have the Striker Red Viper with the special paint and all that good stuff. And it rained almost all the way on Interstate 83 to get to 695. And then it drizzled from 695 all the way to 97. And then 97, I'm going through the Bay Bridge. We're going to Kent Island. And it drizzled a little bit before I got on the Bay Bridge. I got to the show. It hadn't rained for about 15 minutes. And there was not a drop of water on my car. There was not a water spot on my car. And it looked like, hey, Diesel, it looked like the car had just been detailed. So take a look at this guy. This is my next-door neighbor's dog. I'll show you this. Hey, Diesel. Diesel. Hey, buddy. How are you? About 150-pound water. And there's Jasper and Diesel doing the old... Right? So, I mean, this guy is a big boy. And they cry, and they play, and they do all kinds of... Michelle, grab the food. He will. So,
they're buddies, aren't they?
Yeah, but Diesel has no problem whatsoever in taking Jasper's food. Nothing whatsoever. No problem whatsoever. He'll eat the food in a heartbeat. So, oh, he grabbed his bone. Diesel. He grabbed a new bone.
Go ahead, Dave. You go argue with him.
Yep, I'm not going to. He got away with it. He's gone. So anyway, extreme detailer that you are, and the C-Quartz, and also the Ammo NYC. And by the way, I want to compliment you. I don't know if Jose heard this Saturday on the show, but you did a great segment Saturday on household goods that can be used around your car and cleaning your car. That was a great segment.
Oh, good. I'll tell you what, I'm getting more and more phone calls from your radio show, so I really appreciate that.
My pleasure, sir. Give us a little bit of insight. Do two of the products that you were talking about. Two of the little suggestions you had for just household products that people already have around that they can use on their car for certain things?
Well, I think vinegar is probably the good one because people would never think of that. Vinegar is really good if you mix it half and half with water for removing water spots off your paint and off your glass, because of all the minerals that are in the water, especially if you're in a neighborhood that has sprinkler systems, because when those systems sit for a while, all the minerals get down in the tubing, and then when they turn them on, it all comes out in the water. So when the water evaporates, you're left with a white ring or a whitish-looking ring, and that's all the minerals. And they need basically a mild acid to remove those. So you can mix vinegar with water and wipe on the water spots and then rinse your car off, and they should be gone. I mean, sometimes you get into the serious ones where you need to be machine polished, but a lot of times the vinegar will take that off. And you can step up to straight vinegar if you need to. But that's a good one. And the other really neat one that I like is the aerosol can that you use to blow off your keyboards with.
Right.
If you turn that upside down, it comes out as a looks like a CO2 fire extinguisher. It comes out as a frozen mist, and that'll freeze like gum or anything sticky that's on your carpets or your upholstery, and you can just chip it right off, and it doesn't hurt anything.
Neat. And I mean, that's pretty neat, just for products that are around the house that you may already have that you can use, or if you don't have, that little propellant that you're talking about for your keyboards, it's simple to, get it at any Best Buy or, Walmart or whatever.
And on the WD-40, like everybody in this business knows how good that stuff is. But that is really good for crayons if you have kids that drop a crayon in a car or something like that. The residue from the non-paid-for advertising the dealer puts on your car, it takes glue residue right off, tar, anything like that. It works really well.
Very good. Well, I appreciate it, Mr. Mike. What did you work on today, and what are the plans for tomorrow?
Today I worked on a Mercedes SUV, the G550.
Okay.
That's up at the collection that I go to. He needed that cleaned out because it had taken the dogs on.
Yeah, that's Lena's favorite, right?
I'm sorry?
That's Lena's favorite, isn't it?
No. This is up at the collection. It's a big SUV.
Oh, so it's like the GL 550.
Yeah, there you go, GL. That's it.
Okay. All right. Because I was thinking of the boxy-looking one, the G500.
No, and then she likes the G-Wagon. Yeah, that's her favorite.
Yep. Okay.
And then tomorrow I have a Ferrari. I'm not sure of the year, but it's I believe it's a 265 or a 365. I haven't seen the car yet, but it's a 2+2 car, and they call it, the nickname of it is the Queen Mother. So if you Google that, you'll probably get a picture of it. And it's this one.
Well, I think we better be careful.
You'll get a couple different pictures.
Just maybe put car Queen Mother, and that'll limit the search.
And then, but it won Best in Show in Amelia Island, and it's going to Pebble Beach to be auctioned off, and they feel that this one will set the record.
Oh my goodness gracious! And this is going to be in your possession. That's amazing.
Yeah, our friend at Radcliffe Motors, Richard, is bringing it over tomorrow. The guy called him and asked him if I was available because it's going to Pebble Beach, so I was flattered, and we'll take care of it tomorrow because it doesn't need a whole lot. It just needs a little tweaking, so it's not like a major correction or anything like that.
Plenty of pictures for next week, Mister.
Yes.
Please do. All right, we're gonna get back.
I did a good friend of yours. He has a 2010 911 GT3. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous car. I love that car. It's got enough technology in it to keep you from wrapping it around a pole, but it doesn't have all the touch screens and all that kind of stuff in it. And it's a proper manual 6-speed.
Yes, ma'am. The way it's supposed to be. No flippies.
No flappy paddles.
There you go. Very good. Well, thank you, Mike. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Okay, guy?
Okay.
Appreciate it. I'm going to do a little bit of a shameless promotion. Want to remind everybody, as it says on my lower third, that my website is daveserio.com. I also own an auto repair shop in Bel Air, Maryland called Vehicle Service Plus, and that's in the at 100 Baltimore Pike in Bel Air. And we're an independent shop, very similar to Dynamic Automotive. Do a little bit of everything as far as mechanical repair, including the BG products and the Jasper engines. Just finished installing a Jasper transmission today in a 2-wheel drive Escape. Don't see too many of those. And we also did a major job on a 4Runner, about a $3,000 job on a 4Runner of maintenance of timing belt and water pump and brakes and all that good stuff that the vehicle needed. So real good day at the shop. Everybody kept pretty busy, and it's been great. So if you ever need to give me a call at my shop, you can do so at 410-879-1500 during business hours, and I'll do my best to give you some advice and take care of any calls that get through there. All right, let's go back to our dynamic duo, Jose and Todd, patiently waiting. Just to finish things up a little bit. You've been working real hard with a lot of air conditioning business, I'm sure. What's the strangest air conditioning job that you've had in the last couple weeks, Todd?
Ooh, strangest. I don't know. They're all pretty much run-of-the-mill right now.
Okay. None of them kicked your butt?
No, not really. I did have a weird one. Had a '07 Ram Mega Cab here with the 6.7-liter Cummins diesel, and about a year ago we put a condenser in it, and surprisingly the condenser has failed.
Huh.
Looked like where the outlet port was welded into the core.
Right.
Looked like one of the welds has failed, so ended up putting another condenser in that. That's about the weirdest one I've had. It's just been pretty much run-of-the-mill, just compressors and leaking O-rings and just, stuff like that.
Now, we don't see as many leaking O-rings as we used to. Do you remember in the 90s, man, I tell you, Fords, you couldn't keep refrigerant in those things without O-rings leaking, but we don't see as much anymore. Is that the same situation for you guys?
Yeah, we don't replace a whole, well, I mean, we do when we take a junction apart,
yeah.
but just do a repair. I mean, typically it's not the O-rings that have failed. Typically it's components such as compressors or stick through the condenser or, stuff like that.
Evaporators.
Or an evaporator in a Dodge. I mean, I did do my first.
I don't know, Todd, if you're old enough to remember. I know Jose and I are, but I remember back in like 1991, 92, when they were talking about changing the refrigerant from R12 to R134A. We were pretty much told that the world as we knew it was going to end with the air conditioning business. We were going to be in big trouble. And I remember going to 3 or 4 classes in 93 and 94, and they were talking about how they thought it was going to be $500 to $700 per vehicle to retrofit these cars to the new refrigerant, the older ones, 93 and older. And a little panic set in. I mean, even though we're all in the same playing field, it would all be us for, doing that. But we're just thinking about, we're going to have to give people estimates for $2,500 to repair a AC system. But luckily that never came to fruition. Do you remember those meetings, Jose?
Yes, I do. There was a panic in the air there for a while, and it really turned out to be a good thing, and pretty much an inexpensive conversion cost.
Oh, it went to hardly nothing. I mean, it went to a couple fittings, and hasta la vista, you're there.
Yeah, so I just remember the panic in the air, and you're absolutely right. And to have to tell a customer who has been overheated, them personally in their own hot car, we have to do X, Y, and Z to your vehicle, and by the way, you still have the R12 system. Right. We have to convert it. I just remember some of those poor customers. You could tell that they were ready to explode because they needed that air conditioning to work. And they drove an hour to work and back, and they themselves were overheated, not the car. And when you told them, well, it's going to cost X number of dollars, and it was a little higher than usual, you could just see them boil over.
Yeah. I had a situation just last week where we did an AC retrofit for a 91 Jeep Cherokee. Now, I don't know how long his air conditioning had not worked. I can't imagine that air conditioning system has worked for 20 years. Okay? I mean, because, he would have, in 95 or 96, he probably would have had that retrofitted. So at least 15 years. We'll say 15 years to be safe. But we retrofitted it last week, and he has a condenser leaking, and he's deciding on whether he wants to replace the condenser or not.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Now, why was it? I remember I was still working in a repair shop when all that started too. why was it so expensive then, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's $50?
Well, it never really became that expensive. It really didn't. It was the scare tactics of, I guess, the industry. They were all told, everybody was told in 1992 and 93 that when this R134A was starting to be put in cars in the new, and then R12 was no longer going to be able to be produced, that in order for us to convert cars over, almost every major component was going to have to be replaced. They were talking about evaporators, compressors, condensers, and one guy stood at the meeting and he says, "I think the good news is we're going to be able to keep the same lines," and that was his positive spin. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to replace an evaporator, a compressor, and a condenser on a modern car right now, let's say a car like 1996, if you have to replace all of those, you're talking $3,500.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like we're sitting there in the congregation going, oh my, there was a lot of prayer going on, because we honestly thought we were out of the AC business, portable AC business. We thought car AC is going to end. A
lot of the arguments that I heard too about this, the speculation back then was the incompatibility of the refrigerant oils. Of course, with 134A, you had to use a different refrigerant oil, and because the old refrigerant oil that we were using with the R12 systems had flowed through all of these components, that was one of their reasonings why you would have to replace these components.
Right.
Not true. Not true.
Thank heaven. I mean, we finally got it straight. I don't think it was really straight until like 1996. Of course, we hadn't really worried about it by then because R12 was still kind of available in 96. But, I love the fact R12 legally, I always like to put that word on there, stopped being manufactured, I think, at the end of 94. Okay? So last year they could make R12. Yet I remember it's still as late as 2009, people advertising that they had 30-pound R12 containers for sale, and you could buy as many as you want.
Right.
Right. And a lot of these things were just hoaxes. They either weren't R12, or they were just a little bit of R12, the rest air, or they were ammonia. God knows what was in there. So, buyer beware. Is really what it boiled down to on that.
We had the opportunity to purchase a 120-pound can of R12 during this whole period of time.
Right.
And we decided, okay, well, let's hoard a little bit of R12 because we don't really know how it's going to go. Right. So we did, and that cylinder lasted for years and years because, as it turned out, the 134 conversions went just fine, and we hardly ever had to touch that can. It sat in the back room, just sitting there.
I have not used R12. Well, my shop that I purchased now I'm in right now, we opened up in 2005. Of course, I've never even had an R12 can in my shop. And the last shop that I owned until 2003, I don't think we had anything from like 1999 on up. I don't think we had any R12 because we had been assured by that point that conversion was going to be simple, and there was no reason to keep it the expensive stuff.
Right. Yeah.
How the industry can scare you and also change is amazing. It really is.
I remember stories of when this big conversion thing was going on, that people were having trouble with alternative refrigerants.
Oh yeah.
And propane and things like that, and they were having a lot of trouble with that. I remember reading those articles.
Yeah.
So it's all different pressures, it's all different types of products, and by the way, there were a lot of people out there that were just putting anything in a can and selling it, and you don't know. And it was contaminating machines and everything. It was a mess.
Yeah, I remember that also, the propane becoming a real issue in our area there for a while.
Right.
You had to be careful where you were buying your Freon. But, speaking of refrigerant, that whole theory is so very interesting since the first day I truly learned refrigeration. And who would have come up with that idea? That was brilliant.
You mean the actual use of refrigeration to cool, you mean?
to actually, use this chemical under pressure, this gas under pressure, turning it into liquid and then back into vapor for heat transference within the air. That's just amazing to me.
Well, I still think stupid things like refrigerators are amazing. You know, we take them for granted, but just the initial, and air conditioning, the same thing. We take everything like that for granted nowadays, but the thought process that went into that in the very beginning to make that is incredible.
It really is. And when I first started in this business, I didn't learn theory. I learned how to repair. I learned how to overhaul.
Right.
And then as I went on, for instance, we overhauled alternators, and we had to diagnose the trio diodes, the brushes, the armature, the fields, and so on and so forth. And you were doing your resistance testing on all of those items, and I knew what was proper and what wasn't.
Right.
But I really, honestly didn't know how the darn contraption really worked until I went to school, to class, and they sat me down and they said, okay, this alternator is actually converting alternating current to direct current, and this is how it's doing it. And, the light bulb went off. It went on. And that was really...
You didn't know why they went to all the trouble to call it alternator instead of generator.
Right.
Now you know. Yep.
Yeah. So there are so many amazing systems within an automobile that you can really elaborate on, and it's to me it's mind-boggling how many different types of systems there are that make up an automobile. It's really astounding.
Well, I'm still completely confused on how a fax machine works. So what do I know?
A fax machine, yeah.
It's a little thing that we take for granted, and we think that's archaic compared to what we do on computers nowadays. But you put a piece of paper, and it goes to somebody else through a phone line. That's amazing to me. That is amazing. So what do I know? Well, listen, Todd and Jose, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Todd, get some sleep. You look like you're really tired.
We're going to do it again tomorrow.
It's like a hot day over here.
My guys aren't as tired. We had air conditioning today in the shop, so.
We have ours down to 72. Feels great.
Great. Very good. Well, we had a situation where the air conditioner in the shop started dripping a large amount of water on one of the guys' toolboxes.
Oh.
They're all like, he's upset about it. I said, we'll get the guys over to take a look at it. So guys came over and looked at it, and they go, it may be a coil, which means it could be a very expensive process. And I said to the guys, I want to make sure you know one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to move your box, and we're going to put something else there for that water to drip on, or we're going to have to find something to contain that water, because I'm not paying $1,000 to $1,500 to fix an air conditioning system that's working fine, but just dripping some water. So, he's figuring out where he can put his box now, a little feet over here to get that squared away. So we'll have to work that out. But it's all fun, all fun. And I went to the ball game last night, the Oriole game last night, where we won in the bottom of the ninth inning with a Davis 3-run home run. And I am telling you, what a great game, what an exciting game out there. Not to mention the fact that it was stressful in the second, third, fourth, and fifth inning when we had all these guys on base and couldn't score. But I'm telling you, what a way to end the game. So I'm hoarse just from being out there and cheering it on. So Jose and Todd, thank you very much for being with us. Dynamic Automotive, 301-694-6250. That's the number to call. And also you can find out more about the business and locations, all three of the locations on the web at dynamicautomotive.net. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for having us, Dave.
My pleasure, sir. We'll talk to you very soon. Mike Lambert, the Shine Shop. See you Saturday, mister.
Yes, sir. I'll be there at dark time.
All right, sounds good. And also going to see you Sunday, too. We have the Viper Club. We're doing a special event with the Viper Club over at the restaurant Friendly Farms. And that'll be Sunday afternoon. So looking forward to seeing you there, and I think it'll be a great time.
Yeah, as of right now, Sunday sounds good, and we'll certainly see you Saturday.
Sounds good, Mike. Thank you. Tell Lena we said hi.
I sure will.
I'm Dave Serio. You guys, hope you enjoyed the show. We are live every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on YouAutoKnowLive.com. If you've been watching this on archive, we'd love to have you join us. We're part of the Hangout10.com network, and it's been a pleasure joining you. Join me Saturday morning, 7 o'clock on Q1370 AM in Baltimore. Also 8 to 10 on WCBM AM 680 in Baltimore, and 11 to 12 on Free Talk 930 WFMD in Frederick, Maryland, and all of it available 7 to 12. We'll do a live remote from the Hunt Valley Horsepower event, and that will be on DaveSerio.com. Have a blessed night. We look forward to talking to you guys again, and thank you very much for watching. Good night.